Ready?
Let's cheese it up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 37. Holy crap, we're at episode 37 of the Inside Real Estate Podcast. Today we have Jackie DiAntonio. She is a realtor serving Delaware County, Chester County, and the Main Line. And we're going to find out a little bit more about her today. Jackie, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so you're a realtor.
Yes.
What made you want to get into that?
Well, okay, let me go way back. So back in 1993, I think it was, I was working at the Boeing company. Okay. And I was there for 14 years and I loved it. It was a great company to work for. I had a very young family. My kids were young, but I knew that I didn't want to sit behind a desk all day and that there was more in me to help people. So I decided to go to get my real estate license and took the test, passed the test, was still working at Boeing and got really busy with real estate all of a sudden. And that's because I had a huge sphere of influence and database from the, thousands of people that worked at Boeing. So fast forward, I had to make a decision. Either I stayed at Boeing or I did real estate full time, and I chose real estate.
What was it about real estate that you decided to go that direction?
Really, it was all about helping people. I just enjoy the challenge, and people need a professional and they need somebody in their corner to go to bat for them. And I love that. That's what I love about this career.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, so I'm a former realtor myself. I don't know if you knew that, but I think, even today, like we're still big because we're, we still work with real estate agents, property marketing, all of that type of thing. We still get to see a lot of the behind the scenes, and we run into realtors who are dealing with, people who are no issues. They're generally in a good place in life, and they're fine. They just need somebody to basically handle something that those people don't do on a regular basis. But then we see people who are in tough points in their life, and they really need the help of a realtor. And that's where you see some of the people in the industry, the professionals, actually really shine. Like I've seen some really tough situations that people are in, and it's just really amazing to see the empathy that a lot of these people show. What was it like? Was it a transaction that you did that made you kind of say, hey, I really feel like what I'm doing is important?
I would say it was when I purchased my own home out here in Westchester. So I was not in real estate at the time. I was still working at Boeing. And back then we had phone books.
What's that?
So I know. So I went through the phone book and I found an agent from out here in Westchester. So called them, met with them at a Dairy Queen, believe it or not, and got the ball rolling. And so she showed us a lot of houses, and the whole time I was like, oh, wow, I can do this. This looks fun, right? And then we purchased a home, and just the whole process really made me think, wow, I like this process. I like the steps. I'm more of like a project manager mindset person as it is. And that's probably from raising 4 kids.
That'll do it.
But I liked the process. And I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to give this a shot. I really want to get involved in real estate, whether it be property management or sales, what have you. So that's what got the ball rolling.
Absolutely. So you moved to Westchester. Where did you move from?
At the time, we had a row home in Clifton Heights.
Okay. I grew up in Upper Darby.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. So when you came out here, did it, for me, it felt like it was like 3-hour ride. But then like now living out here, going back, it feels like 20 minutes sometimes. It's just different driving. Okay, so with liking the process, so like what's your favorite part about selling real estate? Like what part of a
Yeah.
transaction?
Yeah, it's the people. So I seem to really resonate with like the 50 plus crowd. I mean, I like my younger people also, but I'm just saying 50 plus I can really resonate with. And a lot of the time they really need help, like whether it's somebody who lost their spouse or somebody that is going through divorce or bankruptcy or some sort of addiction, that kind of thing. And what I really enjoy the most is getting to know the people and understand their needs and help them from that standpoint.
Okay. What is it that about you that you think resonates with your clients?
I would say it starts with listening. I've been told from a lot of people I'm a great listener. So, and then really trying to understand, like be in their shoes. Do you know what I mean? And the reason I say I resonate with a lot of that is, I've been down the road of divorce and I've been down the road of, family having addiction problems, that kind of thing, financial troubles, all of that. Like, I've been there. So for me, I can understand a lot of what they're going through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a memorable transaction that you can think of, like where you were able to really help somebody in a tough spot?
I have a lot of them. One of the transactions that sticks out to me, it's still they're very near and dear to my heart, but I met this older couple and they had lost their daughter when she was like 12 or 13. And when I came in and I met them to evaluate their home, they fell in love with me and just like kind of took me in, and it come to find out that they think that their daughter would have looked like me when I wait, we need to cut that. I'm not saying that
Just
right.
keep going.
Okay. So I reminded them of what their daughter would have looked like
Okay.
when she was that age. So they became, we became like family. So things like that, like most of my clients do become really close friends of mine. But just things like that warm my heart, and recently the husband just passed and the wife is still alive. And she to this day calls me her daughter. So,
Wow.
So sweet.
Wow. So you really keep these relationships going.
Yeah.
How, so there are realtors out there that find success in multiple ways, right? So there's some that, are very much a machine and they're, maybe big teams or just, it's literally a machine that they have. It's not that they service their clients incorrectly or anything like that, but they're less emotionally involved. It sounds like maybe you're not getting necessarily, maybe emotionally involved is not the right way to do it, but you're dealing with people on, like, I guess, a more personal level than some agents do. And it's not to say one way's right or wrong, but is there a need for both, or is one better than the other?
In my opinion, and this is just me and how I've always ran my business, I do get emotionally involved with my clients, right? I mean, like I said, they become almost like family, definitely friends. And that's just the way I want to run my business. I do have an assistant, which helps with like the back end, the paperwork, things like that. But I am in the trenches. I want to be with them through whatever they're going through. So that's the way I run my business.
Okay. So you have an assistant. How long have you had an assistant in your business?
I just hired them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What was it? Just you hate doing paperwork?
Yeah, it's not where my time is well spent. I like being with my people.
Yeah, I totally hated the paperwork. That was
Yeah.
like my although I actually liked the agreement of sale. I don't know. I guess it was like me getting, I don't know. There's some times where I'm like, I could have been a lawyer. There was just something about the, do you know who David Burchard is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he
well.
did, when I got my, the initiation thing that they made you do at Suburban West
Yes.
when you first got your license.
Mm-hmm.
So he did the class on going over the agreement of sale. And I'll never forget it. He was like, the moment you don't respect this document, you're fucked. And it always stuck with me. And I've heard stories over the years that, that people just kind of half-assed going over it and things like that, and it really kicked them in the butt. Aside from the emotional stuff, what's a part of the transaction that you think that a realtor really brings value to for the client?
I would say it's negotiation.
Okay.
Yeah. Not only that, but having a good rapport with the other agent goes a long way.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this day and age, like, again, I've been in the business 22 years. We picked up our phone, right? Mm-hmm. I still pick up my phone. So I can't stand when an agent, texts me back or emails me back, like pick up the phone and have a conversation, right? So, so I think rapport with the other agent and understanding what both parties need and are trying to get out of the transaction. So that helps. It goes a long way.
And when it comes to negotiation, so I find some agents are very much like, they feel they have to play, you have to play nice with the other side. But at the same time, I feel like they're more worried about everybody getting 50-50 versus like, hey, we'll give up what we have to make the deal work, but, I'm still representing my client. How do you approach negotiation?
Yeah, well, again, I think it comes down to understanding what the final goal is for both parties.
Yeah.
So, and having open communication and taking ego out of it. Because again, there's a lot of players in the transaction, right? The seller wants what they want. The buyer wants what they want. The agent's trying to work for their client. It's really trying to take the ego out of it and just understand what is the end goal for everybody here.
Yeah. Do you find egos come into play more with the buyer and seller or among the agents?
Depends on the transaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I could be an egomaniac myself, but I've learned a lot in 22 years, right? So, yeah.
Do you watch any of the real estate shows like Selling Sunset or $1 Million Listing?
Years ago, my house was on HGTV.
Oh.
Yeah, they did an episode. I was one of the houses. And it's just funny because they are so unrealistic. You know what I mean? Like those shows are just, everybody loves them. Everybody thinks they can sell real estate after watching them or do their own renovations. Yep. It's great. I mean, I think they inspire a lot of people, but they are not realistic.
No, I don't think HGTV is as much, but I did, when I had my license, I used to watch $1 Million Listing. I mean, the show's kind of like wine. It seems like it's on its last leg, but those guys, I actually had a friend who was living in California at the time and they were getting ready to buy a house. So I reached out to one of the guys from the LA show.
Oh, neat. Okay.
And I said, I don't know if it's in your price range or whatever, but, I have a friend. They're like, oh yeah, we'll take it. So put me in contact with the guy. It was one of the other agents, not this agent, one of the other agent on the show's assistant at the time. And they ended up dating, got married. Now they're together, all that. But they took care of my friends pretty well while out there. I mean, they are legitimate agents. You know, a lot of times the HGTV, like the house hunters and all that, that's more just like they find local agents to the area.
It's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I learned a lot. Like obviously they're not giving you everything because they can't in a hour-long show.
Right.
Right. But I used to watch like the negotiations, just the level of professionalism that they have when the time came, all that type of thing. So I actually took a lot from it. So how did you get on that show? How did that come about?
I'm trying to remember. So one of the agents in my office got picked to do the show, and she needed 3 houses and asked me if she could use mine. So
it was completely staged. Your house wasn't on the market?
No, wasn't on the market or anything. No, that's what I'm saying. No, but
wow.
And in the end, so there were 3 homes, and mine was not picked, and it was because I think like the one they picked had an extra bathroom or something like that. But it was cool. It was really neat.
Who was the other agent?
Leanne Murphy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know who Linda Z is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the episode with her on there?
No, I did not.
Yeah, she was on there one time. I met her in person. You can say whatever you want about her, but I met her behind the scenes, and then I see her on this episode, and she's got her clients, and they were putting an offer about to, they thought it was going to get done, and then the buyers backed out at the last minute. And the look on her face, you were just like she's like, oh, no problem. But you could tell she was like, mother. It was so funny. But yeah, those I didn't think they were that fake.
That was when they first started. So, I mean, they've come a long way.
Yeah.
But that was when it just became really popular.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Were you in it or just your house?
No, just my house.
Just your house. No. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
We usually ask clients about books they're reading. Do you read?
I do.
Do you read anything good right now?
Well, the Let Them book by Mel Robbins.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Mel Robbins.
It's phenomenal.
What's that book about?
It's about not taking things so personally and, let them, meaning people are going to act the way they act and the way you react to it. So then let me, right? So I wish I would have read this book 30 years ago. I really do.
So is there anything in that book that you're applying?
Yes, absolutely. It's so funny because I think, and I say this all the time, it's almost like you learn something and then you're tested on what you just learned.
Okay.
So I had a really hard situation happen to me last week, and nothing that I did, but it was something that somebody else did. So, and it really upset me.
Okay.
So I had to, and believe me, I cried for 2 days, right? And then I said, Jackie, what are you doing? Like, you're reading this book, like, let them and then let me. So it's the way I react to it.
Yeah.
And I have to move on. So yeah.
Could that book be helpful for somebody in real estate?
Absolutely.
I bet you a lot, yeah.
Anybody. It's a great read.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what does Jackie DiAntonio do in her spare time?
Oh, gosh. Okay. I love to travel. My God. That is like my passion. I love to travel, work out, and do yoga.
Okay.
And spend time with my family. I'm definitely a family person. I love my grandkids, my kids. Yeah.
Cool. What's your favorite trip you've ever taken?
I did a cross-country road trip.
Okay.
Back in 2019, I think it was. It was phenomenal.
Where'd you start? What places did you hit? Where'd you end up?
Oh, God. Okay. So drove from Pennsylvania out to our destination in Montana. So along the way, stopped in Chicago, stopped at Notre Dame, South Dakota, phenomenal, and out to Montana. Did Yellowstone. From there, went up to Glacier, did Bryce National Park. I mean, we hit about 10 national parks on that trip.
Okay.
So then from Montana, went down to New Mexico, and I'm just giving you the short version.
Yeah.
And then back home, Kansas City, St. Louis. It was phenomenal.
How long was the trip?
5 weeks.
5 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, you can be back in 5 weeks.
3.5 months.
He's leaving me for 3.5 months.
I wish
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
What was your favorite national park?
That's a toss-up between Yellowstone and Glacier.
Is Yellowstone the one? That's Old Faithful. Is that
Yeah.
one, right? Yeah,
Yep.
I've been there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm such a huge fan of the United States. Like, outside of the country, I've only been to a few places outside of the country. It's not I'm against it at all, but there's so much to see in this country that people
Really
never
is.
get to see. Everybody's like, oh, where do you want to go? And they all want to go abroad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but they never see our country.
It is beautiful. It
Yeah.
really is beautiful. And everything from like South Dakota out to Montana, like the Badlands and Mount Rushmore. And it was just, and I thank God that we drove.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you could stop, and you could stop on a whim and just like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? And it was just every turn, it just got more beautiful, really. So I would do it again in a heartbeat. And I also did another road trip from Sacramento down to San Diego at another time.
Okay.
And that was phenomenal, going along the coast of California,
PCH,
Yosemite National Park. I mean, really,
Yeah.
I love to travel. And that's like, one of my biggest whys and why I work so hard and do what I do. I want to do it with my kids and my grandkids.
Yeah. When we started this business in 2006. So like in the first couple of years, we actually, so we weren't established yet. And we got this contract with a cemetery company to go around the country and shoot like marketing photos of cemeteries and stuff like that. So at first it was kind of like, oh, this is a little morbid and whatever, but I just road tripped it the entire summer, like all over the place, and got to see a bunch of the country. And it was actually pretty interesting because it's like out here, It's like they take care of the cemeteries with a lawnmower. Out there, it looks like they're taking like scissors and cutting. It's
Really?
so manicured, like overlooking these huge cliffs. It's just it's a whole different animal out there. But
Wow.
yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, I got to see a lot of the country, and that was cool. That was the extent of my road tripping.
Do it again if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know how your trip is, Connor. All right, so fitness and yoga.
Yes.
So what's your fitness schedule like? Do you work out frequently or?
Every day. Well, I shouldn't say every day. Probably 5 to 6 times a week.
5 to 6 times a week.
But that's how I start my morning.
Yeah.
Either weightlifting or yoga.
What do you like more?
Well, it's just, I mean, I love them both. Yoga's more for stretching and my mind, or weightlifting, I feel like we need that as we age, right? And so I enjoy both. I enjoy moving my body.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really important.
Yeah, no, for sure. I when I get off, like sometimes we'll get really busy and I just won't have time to work out because it's like sleep or workout, and sometimes you need to sleep. But yeah, it's for me to operate, a business on a regular basis consistently. It's like I have to work out. I do more weight training. Once in a while I'll do a yoga class actually. The first time I did yoga, I was like, that's, for sissies kind of thing. And I did like a whole upper body workout. And then I went to that. I was like, well, that was stupid because it's actually a pretty good workout.
It's a great workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not flexible at the moment. I'm trying to work on that.
Well, yoga would be good for you. For sure. And one other thing that I incorporated probably in the last year is the sauna.
Yeah.
Sauna is amazing. Yeah. So I try to do that at least 5 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go, do you know the place Restore?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever go there?
I've been there, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of the IVs.
Okay.
I
haven't done those.
Basically, a bag of saline solution is like the equivalent of putting 2 gallons of water in your body.
It's amazing.
But because it goes into your tissues that way, you're
Okay.
like more hydrated than just chugging 2 gallons of water.
Wow.
And then like you can get all the vitamins and stuff in there, and if you're very deficient and you haven't been like staying up on everything, you'll notice it more. But it's usually, I'd say about a week and a half, you'll like notice the difference. So you probably have to go, 3 to 4 times a month, I think, to kind of maintain that. But the first time I did it, I was at this business conference and they were doing them, and I was out the night before and a little bit hungover, and I did it. And like within 30 minutes, it's like, I feel great again. Like
Wow.
they really work.
I do drink Element, that's salt, electrolyte, and it does. I mean, just that in itself. So I can imagine an IV of saline would be amazing.
I started putting Himalayan sea salt in my water. Okay. And it's like, it kind of flavors it almost. And it's like, I mean, you can put too much in and then it'll taste like salt water. But yeah, when you just put it in there, it's like, I don't know, makes water taste pretty good. And it's the same thing. Kind of thing. It's just the electrolytes and all that, and it really hydrates you. So that's what I do. And then have you ever done the cryotherapy?
Yes, once.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Well, I was freaked out. I'm a little claustrophobic. So they put you in that tube and, it's freezing cold. You see the smoke coming out. But you know what? I loved it.
Yeah.
I really did. And that was at Restore also.
Yeah. Which one did you get? Paoli?
Paoli.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So all the other Restores it's basically like a walk-in fridge. So it's like, honestly, you could go in there with like up to 4 people.
Really? No.
Yeah. So it's not that, I know what you're talking about. I've been to Paoli also. But yeah, I love it. I think the max they'll let you go in for, if I remember correctly, I haven't been in a little bit, but it's like 3.5 minutes. And the thawing out is the best part. Like, cause I don't know, I feel like you're just like mood boost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like if I'm sore from working out and then I do it, it gets rid of a lot of the soreness, and it's good. Yeah, I'm a big fan of all that. Yeah. High tech.
Yeah, I love it. Stuff. I know.
Somewhere I think you said you like to cook, or would, if you didn't have to worry about money, you would take culinary classes all around the world.
I would love that.
Where would be the first place you'd want to go?
Italy.
Italy?
Yeah, that's one of my goals for this year.
Have you been to Italy before?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
55 years old. I haven't been to Italy yet.
Yeah, I haven't. I'd like to be. I'd like to actually go to Egypt.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's probably the safest place to go right now, but
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Italy and Spain. That's our two highest priorities right now.
Awesome. What do you cook now though? Like what's your favorite thing to cook?
I do. I cook, but now I'm by myself. So it's like if I'm going to go through the effort, I'm making a lot, right? So I always make meatballs and sausage, right? Of course, I'm Italian. But when I make it, I make a huge pot. And then I give it to people. And it's so funny because my friends are like, can you make me meatballs? Everybody loves my meatballs. But yes, I make that. Chicken cutlets, scrippel soup, which is an Italian soup.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean,
So you lean towards the Italian food, huh?
I do. It's what I know.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm a big Mexican food fan.
Are you?
My father's from Argentina, and my grandmother, no longer with us, but she used to make a lot of there's a lot of dishes in Argentina that are kind of Italian-esque. Like they do meatballs and all that type of stuff. It's not the same, but it's similar. And I would never tell my grandmother this to her face, but if I had one last meal, it would be Mexican. I'm such a Mexican food fan. So let's go back to real estate for a second. So buyers and sellers, who do you work with more, and do you have a preference?
I mean, obviously, I love sellers. Everybody wants sellers, right?
Sure.
But what I like about buyers is the hand-holding. So again, that's the mom in me. I like to take them under my wing and hold their hand through the entire process.
Yeah.
So I would say, buyers and sellers, I love them both. Of
your process with working with buyers. So I know some people do like initial consultations. There's, you're dealing with financing. Like what part of the transaction do you think is most important for you to be the best for that client?
Well, I'll give you for instance. So I'm meeting with a set of new buyers tonight, right?
Okay.
I've never met them before. I honestly don't even know how they got my name and number, but we've had many conversations so far over the phone.
Okay.
We're set to meet tonight in person, which I'm very excited about. But I've already helped them find a lender, gave them quite a few names. So that part's done. So now tonight will be all about like what their needs are. And being realistic too, and time frame, things like that. So that excites me. Like to me, that's very exciting.
That sounds like gives you the information to do the hand holding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What is getting started and deciding, hey, where do I want to live? What do I want in a house? All those type of things. What is like, how would you, to some buyer that might be watching this, what would you, like if you had to give them like a step 1, 2, 3, like how would you tell them to go about deciding on their priorities?
That's a good question. So my first conversation would be, what is their knowledge of what's happening in the market,
okay,
right? Because it's not easy being a buyer right now.
Right.
So that would be my first conversation with them. Is being realistic about, hey, timing. If you're in a lease that's ending, I don't know, we're in February now, April, and, you're doing 5% down loan, you may want to look at month to month on your lease, right? Because it might not be that easy to find a home right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, just, again, educating the buyer on what's happening in the marketplace, being realistic about their timing, and also what they can afford and what they're comfortable with.
Let's take that stuff out of it. So me and my wife, we're looking to buy a house. We're renting right now. We have a dog. We don't have kids yet, but plan on having them in the future. Commute, all that kind of stuff. Like where do we start? Do we start with the number of the lot? Do we start with bedrooms and bathrooms? Like what, or do I start with schools, location?
I would say you have to, whatever's most important to you. We can't talk about schools, but yeah.
Yes, you're right.
I tell my buyers, this is a site that you can go look at the school reports. And, but in my opinion, resale is probably the most important thing, because we all know people don't stay in their homes forever. So I say start with resale. So that would be the schools. And then what are the most important things to you? Okay. What do you want to love about your home? Do you want 2 bathrooms? Do you want a garage? Do you need a big lot for the dog to run? Right? Do you, do you have in-laws? Is it a possibility that parents are going to be moving in at any point? I mean, there's a lot that goes into a consultation.
Is there something you find that buyers have a question about pretty frequently? Like, is there any like 1 or 2 questions that you get a lot?
Just again, in the last year, okay, I'm going to base it on this, is buyers just want to know what they have to do, what the competition is. That's really what's on everybody's mind right now. Am I going to lose out on 10 houses to a cash buyer?
It seems like, or at least what I see, it seems like that's leveling out a little bit. Is that what you're seeing?
In some areas.
Yeah.
Westchester, not so much.
Yeah, you're right. Do most buyers have the flexibility to do what it takes to get houses, or are a lot of them like, hey, this is what I'm working with, and we're just going to have to wait until something comes up?
Yeah, I have buyers that have been looking for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because they lost out on, houses for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Most of the time in the last 2 years, it was cash buyers, no inspections, that kind of thing. And for whatever it's worth, these buyers did not want to waive inspections, which, okay, I don't blame them, right? So here we are.
Have they shifted? Are they like more willing to consider that now, or are they still sticking to their guns? And
again, it depends. If you have parents talking to them, right? They're like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them either.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's tough, because a lot of what buyers have had to do to win some of these houses is like the opposite of what you would have been telling them prior to COVID.
Correct.
Yes. and it's like I don't want to tell you to do it, but like, hey, this is what it might take, to get it done. Okay, when it comes to financing for buyers, right? I'm assuming you have go-to lenders that you suggest to people.
Yeah.
When I had my license, I had 3 guys that in the lending department, and one of them was more for like, he was great with the bigger stuff. One was just kind of all purpose, and then I had one guy that would basically, if everybody else turned it down, if it was possible, he'd get it done. Do you have like go-to for different scenarios, or just options?
I have 3 lenders that I absolutely love for one reason or the other, right? One of them will come to your house, meet with you, sit with you for as long as it takes. Another one has great programs for like doctors and school teachers and that kind of thing. And the other one is one of those lenders that will get it done no matter what.
Yeah, I think it was that guy, man. My first deal, my first buyer that I had, everybody that I was the guy that was the in-house lender for my office was like, didn't even want to touch it, turned him down right away. And I'm like, well, I want to get this deal done. So this other guy that I knew, I was working at a bar back then. And this guy was one of the bartenders, and he just got into lending. He's like, I'll get you covered. I'm like, all right, see what you can do. Damned if he didn't get it done.
Yeah.
And but he did a great job. And he was also one of those people that was very personable and really would kind of take that like, hey, I'm going to walk you through this. You're going to feel like you're getting taken care of. So he's actually really good all the way around. But like, I didn't want to have just one person that, there could be perception like, hey, I'm just feeding business to this person.
Right.
I would go and I would say, hey, I would send my clients, like, here are 3 people that I work with. You can use anybody you want, but these are 3 people I recommend. And then I would go to those lenders and I would email them all separately. And I was like, hey, listen, I'm sending you a lead.
Right.
You can reach out to them like once, but if they don't respond to you, I don't want you harassing them. I have my little system that I worked with them, and I did pretty well. Okay, so let's talk about sellers. What's your process with sellers?
So let's just play the scenario. I get a call. Somebody wants to list their home.
Sure.
They're interviewing 2 or 3 agents, right? I find out how they got my information and then ask them a series of questions. I have like a whole checklist of questions, like how long have you been in your home? Have you done any upgrades? Why are you moving? What's your time frame? You go through a whole series of questions. And then I go out to the house, meet with the sellers, and again, just sit there and listen and try to, find out what their needs are. Do they need to move? Is there a time frame?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Go through the house.
Are you one of those, we have to get this house like up to speed and ready agents? Or are you kind of like, hey, if you just want to sell, I'll throw a sign in the lawn and let's get it sold?
Again, this is what I love about this business. So I thoroughly enjoy helping somebody get their house ready to market. I've had situations in the past year where I've had to be the project manager again, call in all my contractors. I mean, the house was a disaster, right? And I'm just talking about one situation. The woman needed to move right away. But the house was a disaster. So I go into action mode, and that's what I love. Called my contractors in, painters, flooring guys, cleaners, everything. Got it up to speed and listed it and sold it for over asking in a very short amount of time. That is the ideal scenario for me. That is the ideal client. Like, I love that.
Where they listen.
Where they listen and they need my help, right?
Yeah.
So I dive in. That's just who I am, my personality.
Do you find that most sellers, with all the information is out there, just like buyers, there's so much information out there for these people. Do you find that most sellers today are more open-minded to the agent's input to say, hey, yeah, we can get this price, but this is what it's going to take, and these are the things you need to do? Or are you finding that they're resistant, like, hey, I just want to sell my house, I don't want to be bothered with this?
I mean, I've been fortunate. My sellers have taken my advice and let me go in there and help them. I mean, I really haven't had a difficult seller lately that just says, absolutely not, we're listing it as is.
Mm-hmm. If you had to pinpoint one thing where you go into a listing appointment, let's say you're one of 3 agents being interviewed, do you have a feel that something you do puts you over the top, and what would that thing be?
I actually think it comes down to personality a lot of the time. And if they kind of mesh with you, right? They get to know you, they trust you, they like something about you. And obviously results. I mean, I've been in the business for 22 years. I know the local market. I live here. I've raised my kids here, right? So a lot of that goes a long way. But I do think it's just sitting down and being real with the client.
Favorite thing about the area?
Oh God, I love this area. So, and I love Delaware County too, right? I mean, my heart's there because of born and raised. But what I love about this area is, the parks, the open space, the restaurants, the shopping. I mean, there's so much to do, right? So,
if you're going to dinner tonight, where are you going?
Well, if I want a steak, I'm going to Pietro's.
Okay.
And if I want Italian, I'll go to Limoncello, right? Yeah, they're kind of my go-to. Love Spence Cafe. Yeah.
I haven't eaten there. I usually go there to have a
BYO.
drink. Have you been to 9 Prime?
Yes.
What do you think? I get mixed reviews.
It's absolutely beautiful, right? I love the atmosphere. I think the food's okay.
Yeah.
Just okay.
Do you think the ambiance, the experience, the service, do you think the combination with that and the food is worth it?
It depends. I'm going to say it depends, because if I have, if I have a high-end client, they might be wowed by that whole experience, right? But honestly, again, it's a steakhouse, and if I want a good steak, I'm going to Pietro's.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I mean, a lot of people go to Pietro's.
Yeah.
That's like their spot. Even though this 9 Prime is there, they still prefer Pietro's.
Yeah.
It's surprising. Although, I don't know, man. I don't know if Westchester's the right place for a restaurant like that. I think it's nice that it exists. I think there are people that will go do that, but are the locals going to frequent that place enough to keep it there for an extended period of time?
That was my thought.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, in the city, because people do business dinners and all that. It's not to say they don't do that here also, but just there's more of it in the city.
For sure.
And the city people are not going to drive to Westchester to go to that place.
Yeah, and honestly, for me, sometimes when I go out to dinner, I don't want to, I like to go casual.
Yeah.
I like to go have a drink. I like happy hour, have a drink, have a couple appetizers and be casual.
What about Avalon? You like Avalon?
Yeah, I do like Avalon.
I went there and it was one of their specials for the night I had. It was like, it was a hanger steak and something. Hanger steak is my absolute favorite steak.
I love food.
By a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're spoiled in this town.
Yeah, we are.
The only thing the one downside for me is like if all my friends, if I'm like, hey, let's go do something different and go in the city tonight, they don't want to do it. You don't have to leave, so nobody wants to leave.
That's true. This is true.
So
we have enough here, enough great opportunities and great options here, I should say.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, so where do you do yoga?
Go to a yoga studio called Be and Breathe in Westchester.
Oh, it's in Westchester.
Yeah.
Yeah. Top notch.
You know what I love about it is it's hot yoga, so it's heated.
Oh.
Yeah, and that makes the difference.
Have you done goat yoga?
No. Not yet. No, I have not.
I was dating this girl a few years ago, and we almost moved in together, but that didn't work out. But we were going to get a goat.
Okay.
Yeah, go figure. It was a little odd, but yeah, it was fun. I don't know. Goats are cute, man.
They're cute.
Although the girls are cute, the male goats, man, they look like little devils. Like there's just something. I'm like, yeah, we're not gonna have those things eating everything. But okay, so we're gonna do a rapid fire thing here. So best piece of advice you'd give to a buyer?
Be patient. Be patient, but have everything lined up, everything, in a row.
Okay. Sellers.
Listen to me. Listen to my advice. Okay. And again, be patient.
Good. And to somebody who might be just getting their license, thinking about getting their license, and they're walking into this market, which isn't the easiest market, what would be the best piece of advice you could give to a new agent?
Wow. Okay. Again, probably get a mentor or get a coach. Number one, right off the bat.
Okay.
Number two, spend your money wisely because, it could take a long time before you get a commission. Okay. And just contact everybody you know and let them know you're in the business. Start with the people that you know.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Okay, to a seasoned agent, if you had to think back on one of the most important lessons you've learned that you think that anybody in the business could benefit from, what would it be?
Yeah, I think just going back to basics, honestly. I mean, there's so many things out there that we can invest in and, to grow your business and buy leads and this and that. Really, when I think about it, most of my business is referral based and from my database. So people that I know, and I would say focus on back to basics, writing note cards, just being in constant contact with the people that you know.
And the last question. So we ask every one of our guests to send us off with a positive message to the world.
Be kind. It's so ugly right now out there, right? Just be kind. And people are going through a lot, so try to understand what people are going through and be humble and be kind.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, it wasn't that bad.
Thank you. But I'm so tense. Great.
Thank you, Jackie.
Gosh. Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that was great.